Okay, hello everyone. I am Amalia Natalio, and I have the honor and pleasure of spending some time with Katie Hess. Would you say you're the founder of Lotuswei? Yeah, that feels kind of nice, founder. I want to share a little story about how Lotuswei came into my life and how grateful I am for the opportunity to work with the flower essences that you have taken your time, your energy, your love and devotion to collect and then ultimately share with us. So a number of years ago, I have four kids, and my two oldest sons were one was going off to college, and the other one was a couple years out, and they were very anxious and stressed. We lived in the Washington D.C. area, and it's a really high stress, high pressure, really high achieving kind of an environment to live in. Sure. And there was a lot of young middle school, high school age suicide that was happening at the time. And it was really hurting my heart. I felt like there's got to be something, which led me down a path of creating this program for teens and looking for ways to support my kids in particular, so that they felt like they could reach for something that wasn't a pill or kind of the easy way out that I feel like we as a society tend to lean towards. So I don't know how it even happened. I believe it's divine intervention, and when you're ready and you're open and curious, there's solutions arrive. And I discovered your flower elixirs for my kids, and I bought quiet mind and inner peace for them. Gave them, and I just intuitively put them in their stockings one year for Christmas. And I was really encouraging them to do it, and they were very resistant because at this point I was living more of a very closed, I guess, sort of mindset around things. I was just beginning to open up, and so they weren't really used to this. This was something really foreign to them. So they did it for a little while, but they weren't really totally dedicated and committed to it. And I know that you say a lot, 5 drops 5 times a day, which seems really simple, but when you're a teenage boy, that's not on your mind. So they sort of used it, and I found some other things that they were able to connect to. So cleaning out their stuff one day, I discovered the nearly full bottles of elixirs still there. And at the time, I was going through a hard time. And I thought, I wonder if all along my purchasing it for them was actually me purchasing it for myself, needing it later. And so I started using them. And when I started using them, I was blown away by how much of an impact and how supported I felt while going through a very traumatic time in my life. So that's kind of my journey to opening myself up to Lotuswei, to meeting you, and really understanding from an embodied way the power of what you have been able to create. So I'm so grateful for that. And I would love if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about your inspiration. Like, was there a specific catalyst, or was there something that happened in your life that really, because I find there's usually some event or a series of events that really catapults us into moving into what we're really here to do and to gift the world. So
yeah, I mean, I was searching since I was a little kid. I felt like there was some like group of people I needed to meet. There was something I needed to do, but I couldn't really put my finger on it. And when I graduated college, then I was like, okay, I'm free. I can like search out what actually it is. And there was kind of like an underlying spiritual drive, but it was tied to humanity. Like looking around at my friends graduating college and seeing them get in mortgages and car bills and cell phone payments, and I was like, and I would see them get stuck in jobs that they hated, and then just to kind of keep paying the bills of the debts of the things that they purchased, and I thought, there's got to be more. Like, there's so much more to each of us as a human being, that if I could find something to help us expand into our full potential, it would be amazing. Mm-hmm. So I just started searching out any kind of like natural remedy type thing. And I ended up stumbling into a master of flower essences who was from Spain. I lived outside the country in Europe and in Mexico for several years and traveled through Asia. So I met this teacher. He only taught in Spanish. And I was fluent at the time, so that was really lucky.
Very lucky.
And he basically taught me two main things. One was that every flower on the planet has a really particular mental, emotional benefit for us, which is wow, right? That's a total wow.
Yeah.
And then also he said that if we could get 3% of the world's population to actively be working with these flower essences, that it would change the outcome of the future of the planet. And he was never really specific about like what did that actually mean, but it sounded good to me. And you know, from what I can tell, most of us want to help people. Like that's a driver for a lot of people. We want to be useful while we're here. We want to help. But then when you look at all the things and you watch the news, you know, all the things that are going wrong in the world, especially now, it's like, how could I, little old me, even like put some kind of dent in it? But because of the ripple effect and the tipping point and all these forces at play, that there's actually a very small amount of people that can make a huge impact. So I think that speaks to a lot of people. Like really, like actually 3%, you know, and maybe now, you know, we've evolved to maybe it's only 1%. So could we reach 1% of the population of the world? And it's not really a goal, but it's like the beauty at the end. Like there isn't really a destination, right? But the thing that motivates me is I've seen thousands of people speed up the process of their personal growth and evolution, and like you say, feel so much more supported, feel so much more ease, feel like you can like stretch into who you really are and be more fearless. And the idea is like, what if everyone had that potential? What if everyone had the opportunity in some way to have that experience of not being so dragged down by our self limitations, and to be able to feel what it feels like to like come out into who we really are a little more. Like that vision of a world like that is so inspiring to me that, you know, it's lasted through the whole business, the ups and downs.
Well, and I love the way you're even moving your body. It's like how I noticed even in myself how I can feel very contracted, and to be able to open up and have something as simple as, you know, a mist. You know, it's just incredible. I wish you could smell it. Speechless. They're just so good. You know, you were talking about, you know, just a small number of people, and I feel like that's where we as these little individuals that we feel like we are, that we don't realize that what we do makes a difference. That, you know, my sharing these elixirs with clients and with people here in this space, and you having the conversation with me, it's like it is exponentially building and growing. And so each person can make a difference, and starting with our own inner world, kind of that saying of, you know, your outer is reflecting your inner. And did you want to speak to something about that?
Like if you listen to some of like His Holiness the Dalai Lama's talks, he'll say if we taught every child at the age 7 how to meditate, we would have no violence on the planet. There would be no violence. It would all cease. All wars would cease. So like realistically, it's like in our reach somewhat, you know, it's plausible. And they've done studies that show that, I've done like 10-year longitudinal studies where they can prove that if your friend's friend's friend, you probably heard me say this before, is wildly happy, it has more of a beneficial effect on you than if someone put $5,000 in your pocket. And you know, if you become wildly happy, it influences your friend's friend's friend. So these are people you don't even know. So when we think, oh, well, just like little old me, like what can I do? It couldn't be further from the truth. It's like in this moment, you and I and anybody listening are simultaneously, spontaneously impacting a lot of people, including people we don't even personally know. So it's kind of like, ooh, like mind rattling, you know, like the power and the responsibility of that. Then it means that how I compose myself, or how I manage my emotions, or what I do to keep myself stable is like we're all linked in that way. But it's also really inspiring because you can use something like flower essences that are so gentle and natural and no side effects to really like bring out all the best parts of you.
Well, and part of the impetus for this conversation is the cosmic chats that I do twice a month, which with a wonderful astrologer friend, Madeline Parker, giving her a little shout out. And, you know, we go through each zodiac sign at every full moon and new moon. And as a part of support, because, you know, the way I tend to approach life with myself and with my clients and with my kids when they invite me, I've learned not to put it on them, is we really feel like as humans, as long as if we are taking an action towards whatever intention goal that is, we feel like, okay, we're doing something, like we're actually moving the ball forward in a way. So I feel like working with flower essences in whatever form that is, you can see behind us, there's the elixirs that you actually ingest, the serums that you put on your skin, the mist that you saw me just spray a second ago. Like there's so many different ways that you can approach it, and you're actually physically doing something that's easy, that's simple, that is having a potentially, and I would say almost always, positive effect. There might be a little bump at the start because you're opening up these areas that you may have been keeping tucked away. They need to come to the surface in order to be moved out, and then the effects that you're really looking for can emerge. So it's kind of creating that space is the way I see it. Would you say that's kind of on the same wavelength?
Yeah, I think sometimes things need to come up to come out. So even like in the world of homeopathy, they would say, like if you had a skin rash and instead of just working your way through it naturally, you took pharmaceuticals. Sometimes when you take homeopathics, sometimes some of those things will come back out because the pharmaceutical suppressed it. And so now we want to like let it come out, and then it comes out to like a lesser degree. So I find the same thing with flower essences is, I mean, we all carry, none of us really sees reality as it is. We're carrying so many filters and projections. The way that you perceive reality and the way I perceive reality is totally different based on all the experiences we had from womb until now. Plus there's the like 7 or 8 generations back in our lineage that we're carrying thoughts and emotions from our family members in the cellular memory of our body. So, and it's like, how do we turn the volume down on the things that aren't us and don't serve us, and how do we turn the volume up on what's actually our true nature? And that's like the real effect of the flower remedies. We have the mists, and we work with essential oils, and I love all the yummy scents, and we want it to be like a experience. But what's really doing the heavy lifting, you can't smell it. It doesn't have a scent. It's more like homeopathy. It's the energy or the life force from the botanicals. And when you walk in nature, there's so much more going on than just like being revitalized by the oxygen. The plants literally clean your energy field. And when you think like, all the things that mean something to us, that are important to us today, are traveling on these invisible waves, like from your cell phone, all your kids' photos, your videos, your poetry, your secret texts, your thoughts, your like everything is in that silly little box, right? And then it's not just in the box, it's like riding on invisible waves through space. It's mind-blowing, but we just use it every day, so we don't think about it. And like 20 years ago when I was telling people, no, there's like flower Wi-Fi, there's botanical Wi-Fi. When you go in nature, there are all these energies that are basically upgrading your system, or you're downloading information. And this is a capacity that your body has, all of our bodies have, and we don't know we have that capacity. It's like a superpower or a language that we speak that we don't even know we speak. So this dynamic, relationship is happening all the time. We just aren't necessarily always aware of it.
So one thing I want to say about that, and then we'll get back to kind of the cosmic chat support, is a few years back, I purchased something called a plant wave. I don't know if you've heard of this device. And it literally has these little sensors that are safe for the plant, and you can hear the music and the energy of the plant. And it's to me, it makes me giggle. Like I feel like a little kid. I feel like it's like a secret little world that I'm tapping into. And I, when I've traveled, I've taken it with me to hear the resonances, the sound, the language, the music of the plants in different parts of the world, because there's going to be different energies, I believe, in the earth, in the environment, in that place, based on the culture, what they've been through, and the plants that are there. I feel like and tell me if you have a different view on this, I'd be really curious, is I feel like the plants and the animals in certain areas are there for a reason. They're supportive, they're helping support the alchemization of any traumas or hardships that they might be encountering. And so to be able to hear a plant like with my actual ears in these different places, to me, is what a gift. I mean, it really does feel kind of otherworldly in a sense.
That's where technology is so cool, and you can, like you said, hear the music of the plants, or people who do time-lapse photography, and you can see like how the flowers are opening. And
Yeah.
just because we're operating at such a faster pace seemingly than the plants, as they just look kind of static, like they're just sitting there, right?
Yeah.
But when you can like hear the way hear the way we hear what the sounds are making or the movements are making, it so fascinating. And I have had that experience that geographical locations have really specific sort of themes in the lessons or the messages that they're bringing in the area.
Mm-hmm.
It's all so intermixed and interwoven, from the culture to the history to the people, the animals, the earth. And there's something in the plant world they have we call pioneer species.
Okay.
So there are certain plants that are actually on the planet to like soothe the environment after some kind of traumatic experience has happened. Like, for example, fireweed is a really good fun one. The like the little what do you call it? Like the outer shell of the seed is so hard that it actually needs a forest fire, in some cases, to like pop open the seed.
Wow.
And then the seed, grows and blooms. And then after the fire has gone through, the pioneer species are the ones that pop up first in order to soothe and heal the environment and the animals and people of the whole place. So,
Wow.
and even you can look in, sometimes something like real rando will pop up in your backyard, like some flower that doesn't belong or that you've never seen before.
Uh-huh.
You didn't plant it, or your neighbors don't have it. You're like, how on earth is this here? And I always see that as like Mother Nature giving you what you need. Most of the lawns have dandelions in them because we all have neck and shoulder tension, and dandelion is what releases tension and helps us understand where we store stress in our body. So Mother Nature's like always giving us the opportunity to sort of like see something different and walk through the door. In the end, in my experience, like flower essences won't get you enlightened. It's like this relationship, like the flowers show up or the plants show up, and then we also have to show up. So it's like when you're working with these remedies, you can kind of start to see reality in a different way, and a door opens.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have to walk through it.
Yes. So it's so true. And I have an experience with a client where, I will bring flower essences with my clients pretty much with every single one, because there's always some little golden thread that they can follow to help them through whatever. And usually when people come to me, there's something in their life that's not feeling quite where they'd like it to be. So I had one client, we were kind of going through this I say process, but more of like just a conversation and just kind of a fun little connection to find the flower that would be the most supportive, or the blend that would be most supportive for her. And I can't remember this minute what flower it was, just like you said, it showed up in her yard and she didn't know what it was, really, like it wasn't really clicking. And then when we were working with the cards and we were having the conversation and I showed her the flower that was looking to support her, she's like, oh my gosh, that's the one that just showed up in my yard. And I mean, I just get the chills and like giddy about having those. To me, it's like the nod from the universe saying, yes, you're on the right path and we've got you. You are safely held in this moment with whatever you're experiencing. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's the same with working with the moon cycles and working with the planetary energies that are affecting all of us in different ways. Mm-hmm. So we have the collective energy, and then we have our own individual experience based on our natal chart, where the luminaries and the planets and the fixed stars were at the moment of our birth. Even 88 days before, there's a lot of really great juicy stuff there, which is to me more ancestral in nature, which is very supportive of where we are now, having an understanding of all of it. And that's why I do these cosmic chats, is to alert people to the energies that are affecting all of us as a group, and then also affecting the individual. So, we go through all 12 signs. You listen in for your sun, moon, and rising. It's going to tell a story. And then I share a flower using your Flower Evolution card deck, which I love. And then I'm also part of the Flower Evolution program. So I get more cards to add to the deck, which is really fun. And then I share a flower and the energy of that flower for each one of the signs. So whether they contact you all here at Lotuswei to purchase a product, or they just take a screenshot of the flower, or let's say it's something ubiquitous like a rose, they can go to their grocery store and bring roses into their home.
Yeah.
And I share the story, it was the Gemini, I believe it was the Gemini new moon back in the beginning of the summer. And Bird of Paradise was the flower for my rising sign. And I don't see Bird of Paradise in the grocery store usually in Florida. It's not one of those flowers. I literally walked into Trader Joe's 2 days later, and there was a Bird of Paradise. And of course I bought it because why wouldn't I at that point? And it just, every time I looked at it, it just made me smile, and I felt really connected to the spirit of that flower. And it brightened my day. It brought me into a place of creative expansion. It opened me up. I mean, I just love the way there's so many pieces to the Bird of Paradise, and they're not the like soft sort of, to me, it doesn't feel like a soft flower like an orchid, for instance. There's a power, there's a fierceness, there's just this like, I'm here kind of an energy that comes from that flower, which is what I needed. That was exactly what I needed. So, when it comes to drawing these connections to the flowers and the energy of the cosmos, is that part of your methodology or your thinking, or is it more just this intuitive knowing, or you go to a specific place and you're like, oh wow, I didn't know this was here, or wow, this is blooming now, or is there, just if you could share just a little bit about that process.
Yeah, I'm not overthinking too much, and I also don't have the awareness that you do of astrology. So like I'll write on the jar, full moon in Leo or something, just to like orient myself to what was happening when I was collecting. I have an astrologer friend who's always saying, oh, we should run the charts on some of your flowers.
Yeah.
Really interesting to see. And I'm sure there's like a science to it of, the cosmos was right at the right place in order to harness the energy of that. And I'm sure it would all make sense and be really interesting. It's easier for me to just sort of open up the awareness. And there are different ways that it happens. Sometimes I'll be really drawn to a place and then just like, what's in the place, and then find what I find. Other times, I'm like really obsessed with a certain orchid somewhere that's really hard to find, and I have to go hunt it down, see if I can actually find it. So it's like kind of organic.
Yeah.
Sometimes the animals will come out and show where a particular flower is. It's very interesting how it.
I love that.
Arises.
Yeah, I mean, we're supported in so many ways, and hopefully this conversation will be supportive for people who are maybe new to this, or maybe they're really into astrology, but they had no idea the flower essences could be supportive. And that, to me, it's that cosmic earth connection with us as the conduit in the middle, bringing in those cosmic energies and planting them here on earth, and then also supporting the earth in order to support the cosmos. So I see it as a very reciprocal relationship. The more we honor the earth, the more we honor ourselves, the more we honor the cosmos, and just, to me, it's like a tapestry that's constantly evolving and unfolding, and how we show up in the world makes a huge difference in how that tapestry reveals itself. So it's just, to me, it's just fun. Life can be feel very challenging, and if we have little things like flower essences to support in that time of challenge, to open us up to a new facet of ourselves so that we can show up in a more vibrant way, and then inspire somebody else and allow them to open up in a more vibrant way, I just feel like that connection just becomes even stronger. So anything final you'd like to leave folks with?
I guess the thing that arises is that we're seeing things now that I couldn't have believed in like my wildest dreams. So like, I understand every flower does something emotional, right? And then you look at like something like pomegranate, and in my experience, this is one of the best flowers for women at getting rid of PMS and cramps and cleansing the reproductive system and balancing our system. So then it's like, well, they do physical, they do have physical ramifications too, and we're not really supposed to talk about those things, right? So we've really, in the last 20-some years, focused on just emotional and mental. But we're working with such a wide network of practitioners around the world, and they all kind of report back like interesting case stories. And in the past year, we've had multiple practitioners and even mamas reach out to us and say, with your truth teller blend, just this one.
That's a powerful one.
This is a Florida flower.
The black bat flower?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, it is?
I mean, I collected it in Florida. It's originally from
Wow.
Philippines and maybe
Oh my
Hawaii.
gosh, that's from my heritage too. So that flower is always, I've been drawn to it, but also resistant to it.
So many is scary, right?
Yeah.
When I collected it, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
scary, because it makes you look at like your own rage. Like nobody wants to look at their anger. We just want to be like a nice girl.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at my anger.
Yeah.
But it's cool because it helps you like work with your anger and transmute it so that you can actually like, speak your mind and not blow up the whole village. But there are some other flowers in here for just like eloquence and being able to communicate and speak, right? And we've had so many practitioners and moms come back to us and say, okay, my child who is nonverbal used this, and in 1 month they're speaking. So, I mean,
Oh my gosh.
those are the types of things that, or like sacred awareness, that's another really interesting one that can have really interesting neurological effects. And we've had people say that their loved ones with dementia are, not able to put a sentence together, some kind of neurological function issues. They just miss them with sacred awareness and like the words come out. So
Wow.
what I'm trying to say is there are things happening now that even I don't understand and I can't explain, and that to me is like the love affair never stops, and the results just kind of keep unfolding as to really what the huge potential is of this type of modality.
Right.
Like it isn't just like, well, when I'm stressed or when I have the blues, or there's like way more to it than we could even imagine.
Yeah. I love that you shared that, because with my client work as well, we all have some sort of physical something, whether it's from small to large, whatever that is. I also love to bring the connections between the physical, whatever it is, and the energetic, emotional connection to it. And yes, there are physical things we may need to do to support our physical body. Obviously, I'm not discounting that. And having the awareness of, oh, this relates to a traumatic birth event that I never knew about, I didn't think about, that has been affecting me my entire life. And how can I support my inner energetic world, emotional world, while also, maybe you need to go to physical therapy or whatever that is, but utilizing something like this to support that process and being brave enough to dive into those places that you didn't know that were there, but now you do. And then you have a choice. Are you going there and healing that for real, or kind of healing it? And, there's all variations and levels, no judgment as to where you fall on that spectrum. But if you're open to it, there's all sorts of things that are very natural and really just if you get curious, what can come up.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned personally is that in our culture, especially, it's like we just have this massive habit of not wanting to feel things that are really uncomfortable, or like block out or numb out or use a vice or I'm fine, or it is just like, or we feel like something's wrong with us if we have like a really intense emotion. Or we like hang on to it too long and just like go and tell like 15 girlfriends, and like then it gets worse and worse.
Oh, yeah.
So there's like this whole kind of gamut of the way we respond to emotions, and that's one of the things that I love about flower remedies so much, is that they help just kind of hold us so that we can hold whatever it is and be with it and look at it and not just like be on the run so much.
Yeah.
It's really just to like dive into it and be curious and what's interesting about it. Maybe it's not like dreadful. Maybe I could learn something, and maybe there's something on the other side of the wall, and there always is.
There always is. And I found too that the thing that I feel like is so scary, when I actually go into it a little more deeply, I mean, honestly, sometimes it sucks, like just period. But it's not as sucky as I thought it was going to be. It's actually, okay, I have the support. I have tools that I can use, whether it's breath work or, yin yoga practice or whatever it is, to help me move through the emotional space that I've been avoiding for decades. It really, really helps. So I feel like we could talk for several more hours about all these different approaches, but I think for now, I think everyone has a sense of how these beautiful flowers and plants can support us and help us through moon cycles, whether that's your literal moon cycle if you're a woman, or these cosmic cycles that we're all in that have some intensity to them. And I think maybe we can have another conversation and go into some other aspects of it and give people a little more information that they can take with them in their life to make their journey easier.
Yeah, and the easiest way, they could follow your recommendations for their signs, and then another really easy way is just to go to our website. There's a really cool quiz, and you just choose the flowers that you're most attracted to. It will give you a little report of what that means about you, like as a mirror back to what's happening inside, and that's a really easy way to figure out what do I need.
And it's fun. I've done those quizzes numerous times just to kind of see where I am, and also it's just a confirmation sometimes of where I feel like I'm going, and then I'll go there just to see, okay, am I on the right track, or is there some part of me that's blocking something that would really be helpful? So it's really, really fun. Lotuswei.com is the website. I will tell you, there are some really phenomenal resources. I don't remember, do you know what the tab is on your website? I think it's under resources maybe, or you could, in the search bar, you could do resources, and there are like ebooks and information there that is so robust and so vast. You could literally spend days reading through everything, but it's set up really, really well, where then if there is a flower that you're interested in, it'll take you right to that flower page, or a blend that it's in that can be really helpful and supportive. So it's really easy. Everyone here on your team, you've drawn magnificent people to you that are just amazing souls who really, when you go to the website, you'll see and you'll feel all of the love and intention that's poured into it. So please do go to lotuswei.com. I'll have a link also, and check out all of these beautiful flowers in whatever form that you might need to support you.
And then if you don't already have one, we'll give you a special coupon code so you can share it.
Oh yes, I do have a coupon code, and it's Amalia. So my name, Amalia, and that'll give you a little discount off any of your upcoming orders.
Everybody likes a discount.
I know, love a discount. So thank you again, Katie, for taking the time to chat and to share all of this beauty of you and your work with the world.
Oh, thanks for coming out. Thank you.
You're welcome.